dance school parked directly above. The offices were in an older part of Fool's Gold and had been built long before the invention of soundproofing. Rafe didn't seem to mind the noise that started promptly at 3 every single afternoon and went well into the evening. Dante, on the other hand, was ready to beg the nearest judge for an injunction. Now he got out of his chair and headed for the stairs. He made his way to the studio. He and whoever was in charge were going to have to come to terms. He had to spend the next couple of weeks working out the problems of the Shanghai deal, which meant needing access to his computer, contracts, and blueprints, some of which he couldn't take home. He needed to be able to use his phone in his office while speaking in a normal voice. He paused outside the door that led to the studio. It was as old-fashioned as the rest of the building, with frosted glass and the name of the business, Dominique's School of Dance, painted in fancy gold script. He pushed open the door and entered. The reception area was utilitarian at best. There was a low desk, a computer that had been old a decade ago, backless benches by the wall, and several coat racks. He could see through into the studio itself, a square room with mirrors, a bar that was attached to the wall, and, of course, hardwood floors. There wasn't a piano, and he realized the endless, repetitive song that had driven him insane had come from a compact stereo. He rubbed his temples and wished the pounding would stop, then walked purposefully into the studio. He was a cold-hearted bastard lawyer, or so he'd been told endlessly by those he bested. He planned to reduce the dance instructor to a blob of fear, get her to agree to lay off with the dancing, and then go back to his phone call, all in the next 10 minutes. "We have to talk," he announced, as he came to a halt in the center of the room. He realized there were mirrors on 3 walls, so he was seeing himself from unfamiliar angles. His shirt was wrinkled, his hair mussed, and he looked tired, he thought briefly, before turning his attention to... Dante swore under his breath as he took in the tall, slender woman dressed in nothing more than a black leotard and tights. Despite the fact that she was covered from collarbone to toes, the clinging outfit left nothing to the imagination. He almost felt as if he'd walked in on a woman undressing. A sexy woman with big green eyes and honey blonde hair. A woman who was completely untouchable, for a host of reasons. He ground his teeth together. Why hadn't Rafe mentioned that his sister was now working here? But even if his business partner didn't kill him for looking, Dante had a firm list of rules that were never broken. Not getting emotionally involved was number 1. Anyone who taught little kids to dance had to be soft-hearted. Nothing got him running faster than a hint of emotion. "What are you doing here?" Evangeline Stryker asked. Yes, he thought as he stared at her. Rafe's baby sister. She was responsible for the nightmare that was his life. She and those unbelievably loud mini dancers she taught. So much for reducing the dance instructor to anything. "Dante?" "Sorry," he said, doing his best to keep his voice from growling. "I didn't know you worked here." Evie gave him a wide-eyed stare, then a strange half-laugh. "Right. I work here. I teach dance. Lucky me." Dante knew Evie had broken her leg a few months ago, but he didn't remember hearing anything about a head injury. "Are you all right?" "No," she snapped, and put her hands on her hips. "Do I look all right?" He took a step back, not wanting to get in the middle of whatever she had going on. "I came upstairs because I can't work like this anymore. The pounding, the same piece of music playing over and over again. I have to talk to Shanghai tonight, and instead of peace and quiet, there were clog dancers. You've got to make it stop." He held out both hands, palms up, speaking in what he knew to be his most reasonable tone. "Make it stop? Make it stop?" Her voice rose with each word. "Are you kidding?" Evie knew she sounded shrill. She was sure she was wide-eyed, flushed, and more than a little scary, but right now she didn't care. She was in full panic mode, and now Dante was stuck listening to her rant.